a lot of melanated people are going to be drawn to Sedona. Like, she's asking the question now. That means there's a curiosity brewing in the community. Others of us want to know. It's a lot of us still go down there. Don't get it twisted. But it's just that a lot of work is being done with the most recent evolved human species of the planet. In order to get them their right to ascend, they had to assimilate their one drop of blood. So now they're going for their spiritual tuning sessions to make sure that they can function in the fifth dimensional matrix and the solar cycle. Because the sun ain't going to be friendly just because they got the right to ascend. It's going to be brutal until they adjust.
It's quite interesting. That's a whole nother show. Quite interesting. Yeah. Okay. This is something that's said a lot now. Where is it at? Chat moving so fast. Is it true the sea is space and space in the sky is the sea?
You ain't never heard as above, so below? It means exactly what it say, as above, so below. When we talk about coming into creation from the primordial abyss, abyss is the depth of water, but it's not physical water of the earth. It's the primordial noon, the great waters of creation, which is the fluids that run through the womb of the great mother, who we rest creation in as we develop as the gods. It's all Egyptian conceptual physics told in story fashion as the story of the gods. Those are all conceptual physics stories that tell you how to read the stars, that tell you how to translate it on Earth and what do it mean when you translate it.
Right, right. Okay. Let's see. Somebody said, okay. Is the sky blue because of the blue sun?
That's a double oxygen molecule called ozone that make the sky appear to be blue. It's the oxygen molecule that produces a blue pigment, a baby blue pigment.
All right. Will social media ever come to an end?
I don't know, but I hope my social media days come to a motherfucking end because I'm sick of this shit.
Oh man. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay, why are a lot of melanated people moving to the southern states, particularly from California?
I don't know about particularly from California, but I do know Mississippian culture says that when the energy shift, everybody go back to Big Mama house. For Mississippians, that means the land that we call today Louisiana, Arkansas, and Georgia, Florida. That's called the Big Mama land. We be called the land of the flowers. Florida used to stretch all the way to Texas. But when during the war, the English settled Georgia to separate the clans from merging together and to push the slave narrative to culturally assassinate us as a people. Because they want to take our culture from us so we can't read how to recover our birthrights to the land.
So you're saying Florida was once, what states was once Florida? So we could really understand what you're saying.
When you come out of Florida and you go west, you're going to go Georgia, you're going to go to Arkansas, you're going to hit Mississippi, Alabama, not in that order. And no, yeah, in that order. And then you're going to hit Texas. Portions of the border where Texas and Louisiana meet is rigid because of the skirmishes and the setting up of the demarcation lines by the settlers. but the tribes use major monuments as the landmarks. And then we broke the land up into controllable sections for clans to settle on. And these are the ones that they caught traveling to fight in the Gullah Wars. Mm-hmm.
So I got a map, right? So we got Florida.
Mm-hmm.
From Florida, you hit Georgia, you hit Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Houston.
Houston is in Texas.
Right. Okay, so after Louisiana, then we got Texas.
Right. Right up in there where your cursor at is the end of the land of flowers. Now you going into the land of dirt and stone, what we would call a desert, going into Texas.
Okay.
Right. And the land of dirt and stone goes all the way up into what we call today everything that was annexed from Mexico in the Mexico-American War.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when we was going, the battleground was in the panhandle of Florida, all the way down into southern Florida. This is where we was fighting the Gullah Wars at. When we was coming from all over the land, Lewis and Clark backdoored us, and because the castles they saw was didn't have nobody there but caretakers, they declared there was no royalty over here. And that's how they was able to expand across the Louisiana territory as a furtherance of the crash spot called the Plymouth. Remember, Malcolm said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Right? Because they used that as the cause for admiralty jurisdiction to usurp the people of the land. Chief Warhorse can tell you better than me how this go. She got all the receipts, the old maps and all that. Once you find out where at your people trace to, you're going to know what tribe you from. It ain't going to be no secret no more.
Right. And what role was Mexico playing in this time period, 1492, around that time when all this was taking place?
Okay, so Mexico was fighting the Spanish. All of the tribes in Mexico is drawn into, you see that little peninsula right there by your cursor to the lower left? Oh, no. Go back over to your left, right here in that area. Yeah. They confronting the Spanish there on that part of the Mexican continent. So now tribes is migrating all the way from Alaska south to fight the Spaniards. This was to send support to the islands, Jamaica, Cuba, Dominica, all of these islands, Cuba, that you see down there. They were all being mercilessly attacked by the Spanish Armada. The Spanish Armada eventually was backed up by the French and the Dutch. So we was boat jumping from this portion of Mexico going to support the islands. And that's why you see the islanders with varying different tribal makeups, because we had to go help them. This is where we had our resorts, right? So Big Mama's on the mainland would trade delicacies with the people from the islands. We would always visit. They cut us off from each other by controlling the water. They took control of the seas first, around the borderlands. Once they took control of the seas, they started first annexing the islands and claiming the islands as the territory under the doctrine of discovery. When they started getting pummeled, they sent the voyage around South America. And that's how the Califia Queens, caught without her kings, got assaulted, and her castle got pummeled by the Spanish Armada. And then we didn't know what hit us.
Damn. So you ever seen the movie Pirates of the Caribbean?
That's about the Spanish. Puerto Rico was set up as a port city, and it was where all of the thieves kept their wealth. That's why it's called the rich port, because all of the wealth that they was stealing from the tribes, they had to take it to Puerto Rico to be inventory before they ship it to Europe. And the
Right.
pirates, honor among thieves, that's why they set up cannons all around Puerto Rico for defensive measure.
Mm. Okay. Okay. We have South America here.
Yeah. So Brazil, being the first to assimilate the pale nations of Europe and make them become a distinctly different people than they was when they came. So we got a term called Brazilianization, which is a reflection of the uh, drop of blood doctrine being assimilated with the least amount of resistance from the nomadic peoples, or the organic peoples, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Brazilians look different than the rest of the tribe, because they've assimilated.
Okay. Okay. I think I asked you this before with the, this we're going to do like a real dope history lesson, y'all. There was a book when rocks cry out, and I believe he said that
Mm-hmm.
Jerusalem was the real Jerusalem was in Peru. You ever heard that before?
Look, Jerusalem is made up to push the Hebrew doctrine on us. Jerusalem only means city of peace. Wherever you seen the metropolis at was a Jerusalem, a city of peace. They just trying to make it seem like it's some uniquely special shit. And if you go back to 1945, when they established the United Nations, 1948 is when they finally did their first act as a concerted United Nations, when they seized that land on the Gaza Bank and the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. But in the meeting between 45 and 48, they had 10 different locations that they was going to declare to be the state of Israel, right? With the city of Jerusalem as its capital. They settled on the city over there in the Middle East because they have ancient practices, right, built on top of ancient practices all in that area. And then they can use that as the justification for the false narrative of religious doctrine. That don't work on me. So what they're telling you when they talk about a city peace is any city that wasn't in a state of war, because all of our cities is currently in a state of war. And we know this because all our cities have some stuff called police, which is slave catchers that worked for the empire, that ain't turning our empire. And they were the ones catching the braves and taking them as hostages to prevent them becoming chiefs.
Right. Yeah, we got Antarctica over here, huh? This is the
yeah.
This is what everybody talk about, Antarctica. Okay. Rod, is there any ancient texts that deal with Antarctica or the land over there?
Yeah. The Hindus have a series of writings on the landmass, but under the ice, it would be Tartaria. It's actually called Tartarus in the Bible. In the book of Enoch, it's called Tartarus, and the book of Enoch gives you the terrain that's exactly the terrain under the ice, and it tell you it's the coldest desert in the world.
Right. Wow. Just going over some land here. Wow. Okay. We got Asia, we got Russia.
So what you're looking at now, you're looking at it from what we would call an Anunnaki eye. Do you see where the separation is between so-called Africa and the Middle East.
You breaking up, Rod. You talking about he said the separate.
That part right there.
Yeah.
Everything east of that, except for was Pakistan and India. Pakistan and India used to be called East Ethiopia. And Ethiopia means ether utopian. It goes back to something called Black root science.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to some documents. So this was the land of Enki.
Ethiopia.
Right?
All of this.
Those big. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everything north of India, Europe, and Asia is the land, and Australia, and it goes down to the Far East to Australia. That was all ISIS's territory or Inanna's territory by the division of the three Anunnakis of the earth. Then you had the Americas, which was the land of Tahuti, the great thunderbird, Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, right? But when you start reading all the documents and you find out, you know, the story of the Arabs say, I thought crashed and flew east and landed in the land of the hairy barbarian. He's talking about the original inhabitants that set up Egypt. So when you zoom in, you will see that Nile River is an artificial construct. It's not original over there, right? It was once the source of the fertile nature of what's now called the Sahara Desert. But they engineered the Nile River to not run into the desert because they had to fill in the Mediterranean bit bigger because of Mount Vesuvius.
Right. Man. Yeah, this is that was interesting right there.
Yeah, I wasn't intending to go into no history lesson around the world.
Wow, man. That was yeah, and the thing about it, Rod, is that the maps, we don't even know how accurate the maps we got are. Like,
Do a layover with the moon. You do a layover with the moon because the moon is reflecting the map of the earth.
Oh, the moon?
The moon is the tell. Yeah, so the moon is supposed to be able to be used to tell you if it's sunken lands. The sunken lands show up in the moon. They got the oldest reflection of the earth. It's seared in there for a reason.
Wow. We're gonna get to two more questions that we're gonna get out of here. Let's get to a super chat question. Hold up. Well, let me get to this one. What Rod, I think she's trying to say, what does Rod think about suicide?
Suicide resets you in the game. Take you back till you can figure out why you keep abandoning your post. So what actually the reason people commit suicide is part of the shut off matrix in the game. The game is designed that if you can't handle the pressure, that it ejects you from the game. And so you have to leave a clue behind for somebody to know that there was an issue here that needed to be studied so that we can find out how to exist longer within the parameters of the game. Most of us don't know. Nobody don't ever tell us when we little. We know as you grow up, life's supposed to have ups and downs. Sometimes this shit supposed to get so hard you don't even want to be here no more. But you're supposed to work your way through it, and that's when the better days come. But it comes from not teaching people that life's supposed to get difficult, because the difficult times is the test for all of the easy times that you had before it. You were studying. Right. When you turn into a university, it hit different.
All right, let's get to the next question. Rod, can you explain how to reclaim family land if the corporation is defunct? Are land deeds contracts null and void?
The only thing they're gonna be good for is what you call a trace record. The trace record is because remember, the contract was canceled because they never honored the treaty. All of the treaties was all made up and predicated up on fraud, a constructed fraud. The constructed fraud was they declared $5 Indians chiefs and signed treaties as if they was with us. And when we seen in the South, a lot of us got trapped into what we call blind treaty agreements by not knowing the what we call the Queen's language and not knowing the legalese and not knowing that they're not the same. So a lot of them got trapped into signing treaties that they knew didn't have a fucking clue what they were signing, which was fraud. So when all of the contracts is canceled, when the everything shut down and come back online, it'll be a path clearly to find out where your family's shit at. Because the corporation is defunct. It's a wrap.
All right, this is gonna be the last one. This is officially the last one. Brother Rod, can you explain the torus field? The torus field. We're gonna end it like
okay, so when you got two polarities to a magnet, it creates a field. If it's laying flat, the field looks like the top of an apple, and it goes around, and the bottom of it looks the same. This is called a torus field or a torsion field. It's because of the pole in the center is it's projecting the field. Everything got a field. In the earth is called the atmosphere, but in the person is called an aura. And they are made in the torsion field. The heart chakra is in line with the crown chakra in order to produce a torsion field that's much bigger than the torsion field of your heart chakra being in alignment with your root chakra. When you have all of them in alignment, it makes your torsion field even bigger. So your toric field much is 60 feet around you. And when you wake fully into consciousness and your mitochondrial is putting out maximum output, which means that you get maximum information from the DEA, then you can reach up to 50 miles with your auric field. And this is why we are connected.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, with that being said, man, Rod, I want to thank you once again for coming back on the channel, representing, holding it down, giving out this information on the Conjure Wars like only you can do. Leave your information one more time before you get out of here, my brother.
Y'all catch me on Instagram at the SikApe. That's at THESIKAPE. You can Hayes on Facebook. I do be on Instagram, but right now I have nothing scheduled. I might do a class with young girls.
We're gonna be on here for probably about an hour and change. So without further ado, let me welcome back to the stage, back to the platform. My brother
Rich.
Rod Hayes, man.
What's going on?
Hey, man, everything good, man. How's everything with you, man?
Everything's smooth. Everything's smooth. So, what made you pick this topic?
Remember, I talked to you a couple of days ago, and I was like, let me see where my spirit lead me. And I was just looking at videos. There was videos on YouTube that pop up on your feed, and one video had popped up about Amun Ra and how when we say amen at the end of the prayer, it's paying homage to him. And I heard Billy talk something about that.
God.
Yeah, I heard Billy say something about that, and it made me think about the movie Jupiter Ascending. And I remember Billy was like, yo, there's entities that rule planets. And I'm like, God damn. So I'm like, I gotta talk to Rod. Me and Rod Hayes, we be having some of the most interesting conversations. When I called this brother, I could kick it with him for hours if I had the time. But the brother, well versed in ancient history. So I said, I gotta talk to you about this, Rod. That's what I said. Yeah. Why you asked that for?
So all of our the subject matter take us back from
Rod,
origin
you breaking up real bad, Rod. Rod, you break it up real bad. And
go ahead and come back in.
yeah. Go out and come back in. Yes, sir. Yeah, Rod's gonna go out and come back in. Yeah, it's robotic. Yeah. Rod, can you hear me?
Yeah, what did the other cultures say about the Milky Way galaxy?
The Hindus, since we're in the Hindu culture right now, what did the Hindus say about the Milky Way galaxy?
Well, it's one of the newer galaxies in the collection. Right? So it's coming on a different frequency, and it was an isolated part of the creation where they just now in galactic time is fairly new. The Big Bang was just turning on the hologram.
That's
right?
Yes.
So now we get messages from 30 million years ago. Somebody know how to send us a message into the future from 30 million years ago. We talked about that before, right? So if they know how to send us a message into the future, they know that at some point in the future, we're going to be advanced as they were in the past, right? And the greatest advancement is to activate the Tesla coil-like dynamic of the women and their connection to the earth. Because we're talking about bringing heaven to earth again. We're talking about expelling the components of hell from earth. Right? So we, in layman's terms or in commoners terms, we talking about bringing the golden age out of a dark age, out of the chapter of misery, going to the payout of the misery into the chapter of joy. That means all the pauper guys get up now.
Oh shit.
Right. You see winos at an alarming rate stop drinking wine, crackheads stop smoking crack, heroin addicts stop using heroin. You're like, what the hell going on? Right? It's because the pauper guys that was using those substances to keep them at the bottom, they finna get their inheritance, and then like, fuck it, let's go get paid. We can get another kind of high now. It's called traveling the world to see the different sights.
Right.
Pick up the love energy everywhere we go. Right? Because people are going to recognize that the pauper guys took the suffering so that the rest of them ain't have to, and then they're going to show gratitude. It's called pre-karma and the cashing in of the pre-karma.
Oh, speaking of showing gratitude, Rod, this sister here sent a super chat and she wanted to know let me just put this up here real quick before I forget. $SikApe. Yeah, shout out to Kata Leia's World. I appreciate the super chat. You asked for the brother. We Cash App. Let me just put this on the screen while the brother talk. For those who want to support the brother, and a couple of y'all asked about the brother's Cash App. Show love to the brother Rod Hayes with this groundbreaking information. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So the women make a grid around the planet. They forgot because the warring patriarchs removed the priestesses from their thrones, and they replaced them with this homosexual pedophile cult. Right? They run around dressed in drag, call themselves priests. Nobody's never noticed that all of them wearing dresses. What priesthood don't wear dresses? Indigenous priests. The shamans don't wear dresses. They might wear a loincloth made out of grass. They might make one made out of leather, right? They might have buckskin slacks on and a buckskin jacket, but they don't wear dresses.
Right.
Because they know that the priestesses were sacred to the earth, and for them to be re-alerted to their power is to tie them back into the earth. And you got the symbol right there.
Oh, yeah.
You see the triple knot in the Heka?
Yeah.
Right? Those hands, those upright hands is the symbol for Heka. Heka is an ancient subset of the temple magic of Kemet, which came from over here. A lot of people think that Egypt was the university. That was Hollywood. The university was in Arizona, in the Grand Canyon, at the original temple of Isis. This is why they finding Egyptian artifacts and Buddhist artifacts over there. This shit ain't nothing new. This is just another cycle.
Woo.
Right? So, if we gonna ever break and snap free from the imprisoned mind program, the miseducation of the Negro, all we have to do is remember when the energy shift, we would like for our women to be in the energy of gratitude. That's it. Because they gonna be the first ones to receive the source code. So when they get your semen to make your next son, they gonna scan your DNA, and then they gonna patch in what need to be fixed for the future.
Ooh,
to make your son better than you was.
Ooh.
Right? That's their job. That's what women do when they gestate. They matching up genetics. They choosing traits.
Right.
Right? But because nobody's telling them what they doing, right? They don't know that when they nose swell up, they taking skin particles out of the air, reconstructing the physical body of a baby in their uterus.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that because they were purposely denied the knowledge of self. This is why Elijah Muhammad was so adamant about getting knowledge of self. Knowledge of self ain't just talking about we came on no goddamn slave ship, was in slavery, and now we trying to find a way. And that's not knowledge of self. Knowledge of self is how your body works. How do your mind work? Do you know how you think that will help you learn better? That's all knowledge of self. Right? How do the outside world apply to what you experience in your internal world? Right? Because it's as above, so below, as within, so without. If you know what ails you, you know what ails the world. If you can figure out how to fix it in you, you can figure out how to solve the problem in the world. That's all it is, a game of problem solving.
Right.
Right? So when we start teaching our children, they took critical thinking and practical problem solving out of the curriculum. It was hardwired in the curriculum of our training and educational programming. Right? Critical thinking and practical problem solving is one of the first things that you impress upon a child in order for them to bring their internal greatness out, their genius within. That brilliance that the school system is stifling can be overrode by an adult who's aware that the child got a greater light within him. All he got to do is give him the rules to the game and he can handle it from there.
Right, right.
Right. And that critical thinking and practical problem solving used to be it used to be in all of our curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The pre-karma, that's what's when the pauper guys take on the suffering. That's when they say the first should be last and the last shall be first. Mm-hmm. Right. You have to be last at the close of the age because you got to be first at the opening of the new age, the ancient ones.
Right.
Right. And you have to be properly compensated according to the law of compensation. Mm-hmm. If you're not properly compensated, then you can't properly perform your function. Mm-hmm. And this is what causes the rapid decay of a society like America. The inflation undermine what a person rightfully deserved for their work, for their labor. Because of that, it caused the industrial America to begin to decay. So corporate America have to try to bandage and patch it by downsizing and coming up with new ways to get the work done because they're not properly compensating the people.
Right.
right? So they need to be of service, but they need to be of service to the workers that produce the products for them first, in order to be effectively a service to the collective of the people. This is why we unionize, right? This all goes to the cycles within cycles, right? And a good researcher on the Indian historical record is Michael Cremo, who wrote in Forbidden Knowledge. That's a good reference for people to look at to understand. None of this stuff is new. There's nothing new under the sun. We do this every time. We got to close out the old age in order to bring in a new age. And the responsibility falls on the ancient ones to come back at the close of the age, figure out what the younger gods did, and fix that shit. That's it. And the more you fix, the more people can be fixed. Right. And this is why they say self-sacrifice was the highest form of sacrifice, because what you do to the self-sacrifices you make to make yourself better end up benefit more people than just you. And the more people you benefit, the greater your value is in the spiritual arena. It has nothing to do with where you born at. It's just that you born where you supposed to be according to the alignment of the stars and the time of day. They look at your birth certificate or your birth manifest, and they know where every chief is born at. That's how the COINTELPRO was being able to be an operative and functional tool to oppress the people of the land. It couldn't work no other way if they didn't know where we were going to surface.
How do they find out who the chief is from the birth certificate? What is it on the birth certificate?
They looking at the time of day, the ley line you was born on, and which star is magnetically polarized to that ley line. Every metropolis is on an energy center. Everyone on Earth. There's in some of the energy centers, the metropolises have faded out with time. But you still have the remnant present. Right. To show you that we in cycles. So now they can look at which star is affecting or is being affected by the longitude, latitude, and triangulate. A chief's going to be born on this day according to the alignment of the stars. Remember when they told the story of the three wise men? Yeah. They knew that a king was born how? Because it was in the stars. Right? So the Pleiadian belt represents the three kings or the three wise men. Right? But under the original priesthood, it represented the three sisters. Right? And the three sisters operate on a game called Four Corner Shuffle. The Four Corner Shuffle is the 4X chromosomes. And the 4 and the 3 is the bands of the Pleiades, which is the 7 sister seal. Right? So when the child is being blessed, he got to be blessed by 7 sisters. They don't have to be blood sisters. They just have to have a blood tie to the land. 7 matriarchs. Right? So the 3 sisters flip you to the 7 sisters on a 4 corner shuffle in the family dynamic in order to reset the royal family. In order to bring the ancient ones back to the forefront, there's a mathematical formula. Right? And it's through these formulas that we return the sequence of genetics in its alignment to the energy of the ancient one that was here before. But it's all cycles within cycles, layers on layers.
Hey Rod, what happens to Enlil during the Golden Age?
Enlil is going to be they're going to do him bad. Apparently, they're going to let him decay. That means they're going to lock him into a human body that once he decay, he fade away. He don't exist no more. It's a ruthless form of punishment for the most worst of the eternal ones to turn them mortal. In their mortality, they can't restructure the spiritual matrix. That is like an energy. I don't even read them. I don't even read them like people. When I say Enlil, I'm talking about a frequency.
Frequency, right.
When I say Inky, I'm talking about a masculine earth frequency. Inky mean Earth Lord, right? But the owner of the earth is not a man. The owner of the earth is the women, right? And the men is the ones who protect the women while they take care of the earth. And we carry out the heavy lifting, and they carry out the decorating. What flora and fauna go over here? Right? What new animals should we create? Go tell the scientist guides.
Right.
Practice your ability to create by creating a new animal.
Right.
We need something big like a horse with a head like a dog and a tail like a shark.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck we need it for, but it looked different. Right? We had all kind of creatures of every possible imagination it's been here. Right? In this cycle that we in, nobody was allowed to come in what they call today mythical form. Right? But if you look close, you can see the mythical form peering through their human shell.
What you mean?
You can see the fairies. They look like little dainty cute girls, but they adults. And they got male fairies too. They little bitty guys, and they like Prince. Right? And you have ogres, right? They look obese and big, and their shoulders lean to the floor, and they always got a roll around their neck. Right? You can see the old mythical creature peering through the human form because the spiritual form is trying to conform to the physical matrix.
That's deep, man. Wow.
Right? You can look at certain people and you can tell they totem animal because they look like them. Right? One dude might look like a monkey. Another dude might look like a dog. Another dude might look like a bird. Right? But you're looking at the impression of the strongest totem in their bloodline peering through their human flesh. This is why they say the eyes are the window to the soul. Right? And if your heart is pure and your mind is open, you can see through the soul of an individual straight into your own. We all connected, but we got to remember that.
I want everybody to have a clear understanding of what you're saying, Rod. I want to share this message from a brother who maybe don't understand what you're saying, and hopefully we could understand each other. He says, shit don't make sense. You telling men their whole existence is to fight, but women own some shit that can't defend. This narrative is misleading and divisive.
No, he's taking that totally out of context. He's looking at that from the patriarchal view. That's how patriarchally, this is how we taught to look at this dynamic of a matriarchy. Right? Women decided to bring men to Earth. It was a time we wasn't here. All of the Y chromosomes on the Earth trace back like 36,000 years ago. Who the fuck was making babies before that? It had to be making some babies because it was people before that, but they was all female. Right? But we don't want to talk about that. The reality is we ain't just here to fight. We also here to be lovers. We fighting to make our war story into a love story. That's the real fight. Right? That's the building of the self. That's the study to show thyself approved. Right? You can't reap the rewards of heaven without doing the work. And the rewards of heaven is the acceptance of the women. Can you imagine a world that you walking around as a man and none of the women want you? You're going to be the maddest motherfucker out there. If you a man, you walking around on earth, all these women and none of them want you. Because you ain't did nothing with yourself to make yourself of any value to anybody, including yourself. The spiritual aspect of the protecting the women is really for the men to do their shadow work so that you can be the best possible mate for the female that selects you. right? Because no matter what you think, you don't choose her, she choose you.
Mm.
You might think you choose her because she was walking a certain way and got your attention. You think she didn't know she was getting your attention when she walked that way? Right? They know, they got an instinct. And they know how to lure the men that's best for what they want to produce for the future. They make alliances. Every man can't be polygamous. Just like every man ain't meant to be monogamous. You got levels to this shit. Right? If he think that that all we supposed to do is go out and have war, then he's got it all mixed up. It's a symbiosis. It's one hand washes the other. We do one thing, they do a different thing, but the value is the same if you balance, right? So we as men, we do the heavy lifting because we was made to lift heavier weight. That's why our muscle and bone density is greater. It don't mean she can't lift nothing heavy. I know some women that can outlift most of these dudes. But that's not what we mean. We mean gender roles. We mean divine masculine meets divine feminine. And then they do this celestial dance in the universe in their heart. Mm-hmm. This is what we talking about, right? The labor. Women work in the matriarchy, just like men work. It's just that they decide how a different way of work might be more suitable. Some of them want to work on the farm, while other ones want to work in the city. Right? But under the patriarchy, women just started working 75, 80 years ago because of World War II. Mm-hmm. Before that, it wasn't no motherfucking Susie the Builder. They was out there, but the patriarchy didn't respect that shit. In the matriarchy, everybody get what they earn according to their output. The one who do the most work is gonna get the greatest reward because he earned it, not because he better than nobody. Ain't no big eyes and no little U's in the matriarchy. Big mama say don't take sides in other people bullshit. But we always got our nose taking sides in other folks' bullshit and wonder why shit be fucked up all the time. We got to get back to where we understand that by being in a certain frequency, we can help more people by not pouring shit on top of motherfucking flowers. The shit go under the flower. The flower blossom from the shit, but you ain't supposed to put the shit on top of the flower because you smother the flower with shit. Right? So people be into the game of life without following no rules and think they should win. Mm-hmm. They don't do no self-improvement, but they want all the shit that the people that improve they self earned. That's some babbling idiot shit to me. Mm-hmm. Right? But it falls back to the load is heaviest for the strongest because he can take the most weight. Mm-hmm.
This direct line to source code, this 6-hour window that's happening January 15th. When was the last time this happened, Rod? When we had this alignment that we're seeing that's happening in a couple of days?
Like 36,000 years ago.
36,000, okay.
Roughly. It only happened every so often. But remember, even when it's time for it to come close, if the people haven't unlocked enough codes, it'll flip them back into the infinity loop. We're just trying to get the ascension. We're not trying to stay in the infinity loop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In that case, I could have just kept doing what I was doing. Somebody got to tell these people, and ain't nobody telling them. Just shift your energy from war energy to love energy. Turn your war story into a love story in your heart and your mind. When the frequency hits you, it's going to give you the Holy Ghost.
Yo, the dude, I was watching a video. The dude was saying that that the power that's going to be generated during this window, during this time, it's more powerful than any force in all the galaxies, all the universes. It's the most powerful force that's going to be produced.
It's
So
the
if you,
source code.
yeah, yeah.
It's the source code.
The other extraterrestrials, do they have access to source code? Anunnakis, Palladians, and all these other creatures that we hear
They
about that we
they
think are
on a
so.
different clock though. They on a different clock. They on a different clock because they from a different star system.
Okay.
When they from a different star system, they align to when the center of the universe line up to their star system or planet. Right? And the same way you have the 100 monkey effect, right? If all of the humans decide there's an advantageous, or if a certain amount of them decide there's a advantageous survival mechanism that we could all benefit from, the 100 monkey effect will feed it to the great egregore or universal mind or the collective unconscious of the people. And we need the women because they are literally synced to the earth through mitochondria, and they sponsor us through mitochondria.
Right.
Right. And they're going to get source code data upgrades before the men because they have to feed them through them to us.
Right.
Right. Because they are the ones who's filtering this source code through the earth. So the more sisters be in that gratitude, love energy. If it was up to me, I'd tell every female in America and around the world, Monday spa day.
Oh, Monday spa day?
Monday spa day. All of them. Every last one of them. Monday is spa day. Go, relax, let your hair down, sit in the hot tub, jacuzzi, get a massage. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you do on spa day, get your fingernails done, primp your hair, go put your weave in, whatever. Whatever make you feel the greatest feminine feeling in your heart. That's what you should be doing when these source codes come in. Because that's how you gonna catch them and hold them the greatest. That'd be if it was up to me. But you know, people tend to be thinking that people that say stuff like that, oh, he a cult leader. Nope. That's why I don't be at nobody gatherings. They can't say I had nobody meet me nowhere. If a motherfucker say I did something to them, I guarantee you they came where I'm at.
Oh man.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not, my circle is so goddamn small. I move like a team, but it's just me. It's just me. In the cave of the ancient. I'm just giving y'all shit that I've been knowing for fucking 25 years. Trying to help the people teach each other to get caught up and see the enemy for what it is. The enemy is really a frequency. And the source code is our opportunity to alter the frequency to flip out of the infinity loop.
Right.
And the first antennas is going to be the females. And then we're going to all have this better reality than we have now because this one is defunct. It's over with. It's just all a shell being played out in a masquerade in order to keep the people behind schedule. It's not working. They waking up fast as hell.
The brothers want to know, what should men do? What should the men do?
The men should be shifting their energy from the wartime fight energy to like industrious energy, thinking energy, reading books, focusing on your intellectual development and your spiritual development. If you focus on that and you got a woman that's in her femininity, y'all will be able to cycle the energy between each other faster. For the ones who single, your energy is going to come from your mothers and your sister. Your mother is the one who attracts your female through your heart chakra.
Some deep shit. You say your mama attracts your female through your heart chakra?
Yeah. And the rule is, if this is where the Oedipus complex come from. If she don't love you unconditionally like your mama do, and your value in your mama's eyes is great, she can't have you. Your mama gonna make sure you don't end up with a rotten bitch. Right? So that's why it's always best to work on the self, because when the women watching you and they got a beehive network of psychic connection, they talk about you subconsciously and you don't even know it. They having a whole dialogue about how you walk, your body structure, your gait. They talking about how strong you look or how weak you look. If the bags under your eyes show that you don't get enough rest, what would be the cause of that? They analyzing you all day long. Every woman that you see is feeding her the same information to the next woman they see. And they all building on to your value. This is what make the women be attracted to a man.
You know what's funny, Rod? That is what you was just saying. I was just thinking that's the brother's main complaint about what they call modern woman is that they ain't nothing like their mama. So they don't want to get with the woman because they know what they mama brought to the table, and they like this bitch here ain't doing nothing like my mama was doing. So I don't even want to mess with these women out. That's I hear that a lot from brothers these days. Like,
You
these women
know,
ain't got nothing on my mama.
if you go to Noble Ali and he's carrying the woman, lifting her above the cares of the world and moving her on to the dry land,
Yeah.
right? And it says to uplift fallen humanity. Because the patriarch stole the knowledge from the sisters, it's up to us to teach them what we need in order for us to be better men.
Wow. Okay.
And if you can raise her consciousness level, it'll also affect your spiritual development and your mitochondrial connection. No, she's probably, because of the miseducation and the division of the family, she's not going to be, none of these women is going to be what those women of old were.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But she will customize herself for the right man. So she might not come in with the same value that your mama had, but if she see your value, she's going to raise her personal value to match yours. And your value is determined by how much self-work you do. Do you work out? Do you know how to fix your own food? Do you know how to wash your own clothes? Do you know how to take care of your whole self, where that's not a responsibility but a privilege? Soon as you take it from responsibility and you delegate it as a privilege, I don't need no motherfucker. I can take care of me. My mama taught me how to wash my clothes, clean my house, wash my dishes, scrub under my sink. She taught me all that stuff. She said, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. So whatever woman you get, she don't have to know. She'll know that you got some worth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I couldn't understand why I had to stay in the kitchen and cook while my brothers was outside working on mechanics with Pops. I'm in the kitchen cooking with my mama. She's teaching me something.
Mm-hmm.
She's teaching me that a cake need ingredients, and if you put the wrong ingredients in, it won't taste right. Right? Well, I don't need no salt in no cake because I got sugar. You don't put that salt in that cake ain't gonna taste right. The salt gonna balance those sweets out with the grains that you put into the food. Right? I don't need no egg. I got milk. That motherfucker gonna fall apart. It ain't gonna even stick together. Right? When you learn these things, it's also teaching you alchemy. Right? When you are masculine, when you're going into the masculine, you're thinking left brain already anyway. The learning to cook by recipe is learning alchemy in the left brain, but you being taught from the right side. The mother is teaching you. And this is why mama's the master.
Right.
And the master gonna raise a master.
Let's get to a couple of questions before we get out of here, Rod. Listen, man, this is fire, Rod. I definitely appreciate you coming on here, man, and dropping it like this, man. Man, family, I was talking to this brother, man. We got like I was gonna do like 3 other shows before this show. We was talking about the Black Neanderthals. We was talking about the what's that called? The
Cro-Magnon.
The Cro-Magnon, the nuclear winter. Rod was breaking out all types of shit to me on the phone, and then right before we hung up, he brought this up, and I'm like, yo, Rod, we gotta talk about this. So yeah, it is what it is, man. I appreciate this talk. I'm excited. These are some exciting times we live in, family. Let's get to a couple of questions. Let me see what's going on. Let me hit up the super chat first. These are more okay. Peace gods, Chief Rod. When you say to forget war, learn to love, should we still learn technical awareness in the martial arts? How do we deal with those types of adversaries out of love?
Look, it's better to be a warrior working in the fields than to be a farmer in the fight. You understand what I'm saying? You still, those things is self-development tools. You can still use the study and the warfare and the learning of combat as a tool of self-development, which is shifting you into your spiritual developmental mindset. Then the martial arts is also a dance. It's a ballet. Like when you learn Tai Chi, it's a ballet. But the trick is to turn the ballet into Demok, the death touch. You have to know the shifting of the energy. But once you learn the ballet, you know the martial art. You just got to know how to shift it from ballet to combat, right? So warriors learn the war and then they fight for the love. That's what the whole idea of shifting from your war story to your love story comes into play. It's the delirium of the saints with the energy frequency of the love, the admiration. So it don't mean that you shouldn't learn how to defend. It just means that while the frequency is upgrading, you need to be in a higher conscious state, an elevated mental, emotional state to receive the greatest benefit. That's all.
Okay, excellent. Mia sent me says, what percentage of women are part of the 144,000?
The 144,000 is a Masonic biblical code, and it has nothing to do with what's really about to happen. It's 12 times 1,200 that make the 144,000. And all that is the zodiacs, the 12 zodiac seats, and it's telling you that it need a certain amount of them at each zodiac sign on a certain frequency. But it's the code. The code means one angel sent. Thou sent one angel. But they use it as 144,000 as an anagram in a numerical homonym. It's trickery in the highest degree.
Indeed. Rod, they want to know this sister here says, will a black mama attract a white woman to her son?
If she don't want her son to be part of the racist agenda, she will. If she think that that girl gonna love her son unconditionally, that's more important than what she look like.
When you talk about